Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Warcraft video. So, 8.3, let's just do it. Let's do all of it. This is the full 8.3 guide. No matter where you are coming into this with WoW, you're soon going to know everything that you need to know for the patch. And with that said, let's just get started. Okay, patch 8.3 goes to great lengths to get acquainted with you. Its intro quest line is pretty darn long. It's like 2 hours long, and it's actually needed to unlock the patch's new features. It does a pretty good job, so for the most part, I'm going to cut to the chase with a few of these things. Now, you go to Uldum and you shortly do your first assault. Now, assaults are simple enough. They take place in either Uldum or the Vale. Assaults last for the regular lesser assaults. They last for half a week, and you'll be able to do 2 of them per week. Now, the assault itself is a simple fill the bar objective in a large area of the map, with the areas actually varying between the cycles. And then past that, you'll get a bunch of daily quests, and these will award you with a small amount of coalescing visions. They are one of the patch's 2 new resources, and we'll actually get to the other currency, the corrupted mementos, in pretty short order. Then shortly after doing your first regular assault, you'll be introduced to a N'Zoth assault. Now, these last for a full in-game week, and basically they're just larger, more spooky versions of the regular assault. And really, it's the same deal. You fill the bar by killing enemies and clicking on things, with the zone's faction having a few dailies for you to complete. Of course, there are rares and little events and achievements to do, but that's basically the core of the content. Now, those 2 new factions, they are pretty darn important because they sell essences plus a few cosmetic rewards that you might want to get. And getting that reputation is actually simple enough. Just do their dailies and do the assaults. And then the final thing about those 2 zones is that they will also house the weekly world boss. And that's pretty much that. Okay, so after you do your assaults, and you know what's up there, you'll be introduced to horrific visions, but you'll actually be introduced without anything to safeguard yourself from the sanity losses, so your first vision won't actually last that long. But don't worry, because Wrathion will sort you out with a new cloak. Now, once done, you'll actually enter your first horrific vision. You will only have a basic rank 1 legendary cloak, though. At rank 1, the cloak doesn't really save that much sanity, so you'll, just have to, over time, upgrade the cloak. Now, that means that the first time you go into the horrific vision, you can only really do the main objective, which is to defeat the corrupted faction leader. Now, completing this will get you some gear, it'll get you some corrupted mementos, the patch's other currency, and some just gold AP other items. Now, with your first horrific vision done, that's basically you introduced to 8.3. Magedy then just tells you, okay, sweet, kill N'Zoth, please. Wrathion will talk to you about upgrading the cloak, and Mother will show you the Titan upgrade tree. Now, this upgrade tree will make your life easier when doing the visions. And as for Wrathion's upgrade, well, they're from the visions, they're self-explanatory via the quest line. Obviously, you want to do that every week so you don't fall behind. And with that, let's talk about these currencies. Alright, so coalescing visions are primarily used to enter horrific visions. Now, you hand in 10,000 of these to Wrathion, and he'll give you a vessel of horrific visions, and that's what actually lets you enter the horrific vision, though the quest line will actually give you one of those for free, and the N'Zoth assault will give you one every week. Now, the intro quest gave me 35,000 coalescing visions, so that's about 3.5 horrific vision entries. I got around 5,500 visions from doing a lesser assault, as well as small sums of around 50 per daily quest. And yeah, that means it is very much balanced, such that the daily quests aren't massively essential to doing your visions. They are mostly there for rep, and if you really want to go hard. Now, corrupted mementos are your other main currency, and these are really important. They've got 2 uses. Use number 1, they progress you along the Titan research tree, and then second, they can be used to purchase gem sockets from Wrathion. Now, you get these by doing the visions, both horrific visions that cost, your coalescing visions to enter, and then the lesser visions. Now, lesser visions can be done on a daily basis, and they'll give you a few mementos as well as some coalescing visions. Really, the idea of this patch, I think, is that you go ham initially, but after a few weeks, you will be able to sit back and just do the important stuff. I mean, it does feel a little bit like, say, the Mechagon rep design, where you can go in and sort of do a quick hit. Now, doing the weekly N'Zoth assault will get you 1 vessel of horrific visions. That's worth 10,000 coalescing visions. Then doing your 2 minor assaults, that'll get you 5,500 of them each. Past that, there are lesser visions that you can do once per day. They are located in that week's N'Zoth assault zone. And if you do these every day, you will get 8,000 coalescing visions from its daily quest and 68 corrupted mementos. And as for those mementos, other than the upgrades, of course, you are going to be purchasing the gem slots. So Wrathion will actually sell you like gem slots you can put onto your gear for a lot of those corrupted mementos. And that will be a major major source of power progression as we get a bit later onto this patch. Of course, though, there's one other thing that the mementos actually are used for, and that is cleansing your gear. So with that, let's talk about corrupted gear. Very early on into this patch, you'll get your hands on your first bit of corrupted gear. Now, this corrupted gear system replaces Titan Forging, so instead of randomly proccing a higher item level, gear can now spawn with corruption. Now, this gear will have a positive effect, but it will increase your corruption, and that will potentially lead to you having an array of pretty darn negative effects. Now, you can view how much corruption you've actually got on your character currently equipped on your character window, so just there in the default UI. Let's talk about the negatives. So, Grasping Tendrils hits you at 10 corruption and it slows you. Eye of Corruption is a void zone with stacking damage to hit you a bit later. Grand Illusion summons a copy of yourself that will stun you if it catches you. Then Cascading Disaster causes the thing from the previous effect, if it actually hits you, to then proc the prior two effects. And then finally, Inevitable Doom is a damage taken increase and healing received decrease. It kicks in at 80 corruption, and really, it's something you will never want to have active on your character. Then the only other thing to mention is that while Grasping Tendrils and Eye of Corruption are actually very easy to deal with, the magnitude of their effects actually does increase based on how much corruption you have. And personally, that means that I think you are good just staying below 40 overall corruption. I think that's a pretty safe area. It'll get you good effects and it won't punish you that much. Now, there are two categories of corrupted gear. First, there's those that just have a flat statistics buff, and then second, those with an actual proc. Now, gear can drop in 3 tiers of power. For an example, plus 6% versatility, plus 9%, and plus 12%, but each one of those higher tiers will come with more corruption. In this case, 10, 17, and 25 corruption. Then past that, there's a bunch of weapons that only drop with a proc effect, while just about anything can drop with a fixed stat boost corrupted effect. And overall, your gameplay here is balancing the pros and the cons of the corruption system. You're going to be doing that by mixing and matching the gear that you're actually wearing, but there is another option. So I mentioned cleansing earlier. This is a pretty simple service provided by Mother. It costs, I think, 5 mementos, and it will remove corruption from a bit of gear entirely. That means the positive effect and the negative effect will be gone. So if you're running on really high corruption and you get a new loot drop from the raid, and that would incur too much of a negative effect if you actually wore it, then yeah, you could cleanse it. But the thing is, I really don't think you're going to want to, because yeah, you can cleanse your gear and then you can wear it immediately, but just by cleansing it, what are you doing? Well, you're sacrificing its positive effect. Now, in terms of the power economy, that would be like removing the Titan Forge from your gear. And I say that because over time, you'll be able to mitigate more and more corruption through your cloak. And that actually means that if you cleanse gear, like right now, just to wear it right now, you really are prioritizing the short term over the long term. And I think that could end up being the wrong move. Okay, corruption mitigation, that's another thing. Once your cloak is fully ranked up and it's dealing with its sanity mechanic, you'll then be able to further upgrade it using a weekly item that is obtained by defeating the Zoth on normal or higher, or by clearing a vision with 1 mask active. And don't worry, Wrathion will just give you a quest for it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, this will increase your corruption resistance, and that's actually just a simple reduction of your currently equipped corruption, so it will let you wear more and more corrupted gear. And then to cap that off, a few of the new essences actually give you a corruption reduction if they're socketed into your Heart of Azeroth. Okay, with that, let's talk about visions. So we've already covered getting into visions. Let's just talk then about doing them. So your sanity bar will be depleted over time, and that will actually vary based on the area of the map that you're on. So just open the map and actually, look at the little tooltips. So be it Orgrimmar or Stormwind, what will you see? You'll see your main objective. That will be either to defeat Thrall or Anduin, and then you'll see the locations of other corrupted characters for you to defeat. And of course, one in each of the quarters of the city. Now, each region of the city will have its own sanity depletion rate and an affix to play around. Now, the sanity drain really does limit how far you can go, as, even with a group of friends, you'll eventually run out of sanity. Now, this sanity mechanic is countered by your legendary cloak's rank upgrades, as well as the Titan research you do with Mother. So you might be wondering, why do you actually want to bother doing these? It's pretty simple. You want to push these as far as you can every week for your cloak upgrades, gear, and mementos. Now, with gear, the gear scales up to 470 depending on the bonus objectives and masks that you do. And the masks masks are a further difficulty mode. They actually drop at the end of the run, but they don't drop from the chest that you get from defeating Thrall or Anduin. You actually get those for defeating the other mini-bosses. Those other mini-bosses, the bonus objectives, will give you extra chests. Those chests will contain the masks. Now, the masks, they're just like skulls from Halo, right? Each one has a negative effect. You can activate multiple of them at the same time. And the hardest, most rewarding vision is for doing all bonus objectives with all masks on. That'll give you a 470, but it will be pretty darn challenging indeed. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. What's the upshot of it? How are you actually going to be playing this patch? Well, you'll want to clear regular assaults when they spawn. Doing this will get you some gear, coalescing visions, and reputation with the new factions. Now, wrapping up those factions will unlock further ranks of their Heart of Azeroth essences. Now, each week you will want to do your Black Empire assault as well. That will get you even more gear, even more resources, and another entry to horrific visions. Now, the regular, non-horrific visions that you see in the N'Zoth assault zone, you can do them every day, and they're an okay source of corrupted mementos and coalescing visions, which are both, of course, very important resources. Now, as for the mementos, they're extremely important. They will do your Titan research, and that will make horrific vision progress quite easy, which, you know, in kind, or in turn, will mean that you'll get further on in the visions, you can do more things with more masks, and get better gear. And then, of course, the corrupted mementos also go into the gem sockets you can add onto your gear, which, I mean, if you know anything about secondary stats in World of Warcraft, that's a lot of power. Okay, so then, the assaults of both kinds, they'll give you your coalesced visions. You turn 10,000 of those into Wrathion for an entry into horrific visions. Now, all of this just feeds you gear. Some of that gear will be corrupted. You'll gain corruption resistance over time, especially, you know, once you're fully ranking up your cloak and then you're doing its weekly upgrades. And there you go. It's a big circle. You do it every week. That's how 8.3 is designed. But there actually is a little bit more to cover because there are other things in this patch. So, allied races, 8.3 brings in the Volpara and the Mechanome allied races. Just get exalted with the Voldunai and Mechagon, and doing that is easy enough. Just, you know, quest in Vol'dun, do your daily stuff in Mechagon, there you go, easy. Next, Worgen and Goblin Heritage Armor is also coming in. You'll need max level of one of those characters, and exalted reputation with their factions. For that, just do quests, and then wear their tabard that is sold by their faction vendor available in the capital cities. Next up, Warfront. So, Darkshore Heroic is available in 8.3, and that will give you a bit of 460 gear, which is, you know, pretty much free, and then access to the new Nightsaber mount from the Service Metal vendor, and it's likely just going to play out like much like Stromgarde Heroic, so, you know, just do it right, you'll win, you'll get some stuff. Next up, the Auction House, okay, so it's finally been updated. Only took them over a decade. Now, on the seller side, undercutting is actually no longer needed because items sell in a last in, first out fashion. Then the UI is generally a good bit smoother, especially on the buyer side. It's a much greater experience, just so much more streamlined. And you know what? I've got to imagine that this is going to be a challenge for the Auction House mods, though. But overall, it's a great change for the game. And if you're into the Auction House, I think it's a good thing. Okay, next up, there's a bunch of smaller stuff just to rocket through. Allied Race DKs, they're out. They'll be there for anyone who's pre-ordered Shadowlands. Then Legendary Transmog, that's now a thing, so you can go farm up some Legendaries. There's a new Pet Battle Dungeon as well. Titan Residuum also will work the same as it has before, but it has been reset going into this patch. Then also, the new Mythic Plus Season affix is called Awakened. It spawns in obelisks that, if clicked on, phase you into a version of the dungeon with Black Empire mobs. Now, killing those mobs will then spit you out of that phase, and that actually means you can use it to do a trash skip. And then also the quality of Mythic Plus rewards will now scale up to Mythic Plus 15 instead of Mythic Plus 10. Then next, Operation Mechagon is now split into two wings for the Mythic Plus system, and the seasonal Mythic Plus rewards have actually been updated, with plus 10 giving you a title and plus 15 giving you a mount. Then also, a few of the past essences are a decent bit easier to acquire, and if you want coverage on that, just check out our prep guide, we've already covered it. Then for Island Expeditions, they're basically the same, but the doubloons can now be turned in for a, you know, like a faction aligned salvage crate, and that's a way to get the island transmog and mounts. That's pretty much everything, right? That's pretty much everything you need to know about patch 8.3. You know, it's quite interesting, right? I really like the Visions gameplay. I think it's a little bit hamstrung because it's such an essential part of the patch, and you know, it's got all those pacing and loot concerns. But yeah, the core of this patch is, you know, I think it's the most sort of circular gameplay reward loop designed one that I've seen in quite some time indeed. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, I think there's pros and cons. You can check out my sort of patch review video if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, just let me know, you know, are you excited for this? Are you going to be playing this patch? Let me know down below. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.